What's up YouTube? Freaks and Geeks aka NoahC, back at it again today for another video for y'all. And today we're going to be talking about the Centurion class. So the Centurion class has always been a class of controversy in our community. More or less because he was introduced during a time when For Honor was fresh, new, and the defensive meta was worse than it had ever been. Centurion and his samurai release brother Shinobi were created to break the defensive meta, but fell short of the mark. And since we are talking about just Centurion, I will just talk about him and I won't be talking about Shinobi today. Centurion's place was to disable and open players with his unblockables and parry punishes. He did his job, but the problem was he did his job way too well. From his wall splats to his heavy damage, his unlock tech, to his light parry cutscene punish, he was a problem. The only thing that was holding him back from being the best at that time was his health pool and the fact Warlord was a real one back then. Because basically everybody played Warlord in order for them to actually win tournaments, in 1v1 settings anyway. Now, I want you all to look back at the Centurion then versus now, and what has changed about the Centurion. Would old Centurion be more viable if his changes never happened? So in the 1v1 aspect, yes, because Centurion back then when his light parry punish was so good, in fact it was too good, that it basically gave you confirmed damage off of just being a good player with very good reactions. And he rewarded people for basically turtling when his job was to disable turtlers. Now, that's just a case of a player being, or them looking at it in hindsight like, okay, we got him to check turtlers, but who's gonna check him? And so the only person or character that effectively used to be Centurion on a consistent basis more likely would have been Warlord, because of all the tools that he had to be able to stop Centurion. Conqueror was definitely Centurion's main problem and counter. There was really nothing a Centurion could do to a Conqueror and win because of superior block back then. So with the Centurion, if he had his punch back, the one that he used to be able to wall splat somebody if he got a heavy and he was close enough to a wall, he hit you, would that be okay? And I say no, because he's already getting 65 damage off of his unblockable to his charge punch and to his dunk. And with the confirmed 25 damage, or I think it's 30, don't quote me on that, 25 or 30 damage, you're looking at around 90 to 95 damage. So because of that, 90 damage off of a fast heavy that if I guess wrong, I'm basically effed, is not fair. I think that was one of the more balanced and best things that they did with Centurion over the other things that they did. Now, Nobushi could counter Centurion if she was good enough at blocking and using hidden stands back then. Throwing out really anything else besides that would basically mean death to that Nobushi. So the reason why I wanted to talk about the punch was I was wondering if the punch should go back to blinding people the way it did, because I think the punch doesn't blind you anymore. If it's not the punch, it's the kick. It's one of those things. Again, I'm not sure, but it should have more of a viability. Maybe it should be faster to where you can actually open somebody up. I don't know if it should be a neutral startup. One of my friends, we were talking about this the other day. He said, what if Centurion had the punch from startup? I said maybe that would be okay. It would just have to be, I wouldn't say a Warlord fast, but it would have to be like maybe Nobushi fast with the kicks and stuff like that. Maybe 600 millisecond punch would be okay. Maybe it already is 600 milliseconds now that I think about it. So it would have to be faster than that. But I don't know if that's even a way to go about it. But I digress. So back next, we're going to talk about his unlock tech and what he used to have. And I know how everybody likes to make fun of me about saying unlock tech, bruh, and all that stuff, but I really hate unlock tech. I hate people that do it, and I hate that I have to do it sometimes in order for me just to be somewhat of a viability in certain aspects of the game, like fours. But with his unlocked tech, he used to be able to get a light into a heavy if he knocked somebody on the ground, and I think if he was close enough to the wall, or if he just ran up and just did it. And I feel like that was fair, because I think that was something that the players created in order for Centurion to be able to get more damage to actually confirm the kill versus the dunk that wouldn't kill. So that's just one of the things, in my opinion, that they should have kept, and they should have found a way to not make it to where Centurion couldn't charge up his heavy to get the infinite wall splat when they give him his light heavy combo. So they need to try to see about implementing that back into the game. Again, that was something that a lot of people actually came up with, which I thought was fair. The next thing I want to talk about is Centurion's kick. Now, Centurion's kick is a little bit in the middle for me. Only reason is because of the fact that Centurion's kick is just one of those things that, out of stamina, it is very menacing because of what Centurion can do from the neutral. He can kick you, he can go into his lights, or he can go into his heavy, or he can fake it out and go into a guard break, basically making you have to do something in that situation, meaning you have to guess right, which is a good mind game in my opinion. I think that's really balanced. Now, the thing about it is that a lot of people's gripes are saying that Centurion's kick is too slow. And it is reactable, no doubt. It most definitely is reactable. I will never say that it's not. I will never say that it's unreactable, because I've dodged plenty of Centurion kicks in my day. And so, with that being said, if Centurion's kick was better, how could they improve on it? Now, I think they took the blind away from his kick, so I think they should give his blind back. But the thing with that is that, you know, you're being blind and you're losing stamina at the same time. It's kind of like I ain't gonna say a better stunning tap, but more or less it has its flaws in that sense of the stunning tap. So the kick is good. I just don't really know a way to be able to make that better. But I would love to ask you guys in the comment section if y'all could actually see about making that more viable than anything. And now we go to his actual, I guess, the way that he's supposed to be played. Now, he has some of the best parry punishes in the game. Back then, he used to be able to get a confirmed charged up heavy off of a light parry. So because of that, that's what made Centurion more annoying than anything, was because he could basically end you by just being a good player with good reactions. Which, you know, if everyone was like that, then it would be okay. But he was the only character back then that literally did it like that. And so I personally think that the cutscene punish should be nerfed, but I think he should get more tools in order for him to be able to not have to do that and not just turtle your opponent all the time. Reason why I say that is because Centurion is like Warden in a lot of sense. Like, he's very one-dimensional. He only has so many things that he can do to you before somebody catches on. If somebody catches on, you're basically effed if you don't get them out of stamina, which means you have to go back to turtling in order for you to actually get that confirmed damage off. And with him being so one-dimensional, you know, I don't really know how they could actually build upon the Centurion class. I actually have no idea, honestly. I would really love to hear you guys' feedback, because he's one of those characters that, because he gets so much off of being a turtle, that him just sitting out there in the open field, I can't really imagine that with the Centurion, because he doesn't have too much range to be able to work on. He doesn't have too much actual like ability to fight without his little dagger that makes him such a threat. And besides Aramusha, well, I think Aramusha is a little bit even more complicated than Centurion, but I think besides that, he more or less is one of the more basic characters in the entire game. And well, next to PK anyway, PK and Warden, and yeah, Aramusha. So we just have to figure out exactly what would it really be in order for Centurion to really be viable? I can't stress enough that a lot of these characters in this game don't really have the kind of viability that is needed high level, with a lot of characters that have more of a more complexity than the average character. Like, look at Kensei. Like, Kensei versus Centurion now. Like, my God. Like, I mean, I think Centurion, I don't think he doesn't win that matchup, but I think it's a little bit harder for the Kensei to win because of just how Centurion's playing. So if we can make Centurion more offensive, because he does okay, but he's not the greatest offensive character. He's only good in 1v1s, and I think he needs more 4v4 viability. His feats help him out in 4v4s, but they don't actually carry him all the way, because again, by himself, he's not the best anti-ganker. His zone attack, the startup is fast, but you have to commit to the other 2 hits, which basically makes you parry bait, and there's no way to cancel it. So that way, his zone's really not even viable unless you're just trying to kill somebody, because it comes out faster off of certain, like off of a kick, or if you just let it go. Again, the first initial hit of the zone is really good. So if we can figure out now, like, if the Centurion was just poorly designed, I think that will more or less give us the idea that, okay, in the sense that if he's just a better, he's a more offensive turtle. Yeah, if anybody would really compare him to, it would probably be Lawbringer. Like, Lawbringer will probably be Centurion, Centurion 2.0, something like that, or Lawbringer 2.0, because of just how he plays. Like, Centurions are basically turtles, and they only thrive off of turtling. You can be somewhat offensive, but if anybody's good at like parrying, or anybody's good at defending, you really don't get the necessary damage that you would actually need, unless they mess up. Again, it's more or less just, you know, he's one of those characters that if you're a good player, you can make him work, but by himself, no. Some characters just carry themselves, and we just need more of that in our actual meta, in our day-to-day For Honor. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to probably go ahead and wrap up this video, because I've kind of been trying to go on about, you know, the Centurion or whatever, but I think he's only viable on console. So I know on PC, I think he's barely even played. So with that being said, you guys are giving your suggestions, just let me know. But this has been Freaks and Geeks signing, and I'll be signing out for now. Peace out with you guys. Deuces.